For my ASP, I worked on post-production for the film Oxygen to develop my editing and color grading techniques. I intend to pursue editing and color grading during my major project and work towards an eventual career as a colorist or in another post-production role. My main inspirations in editing come from ambitious movies with big stories and stunning visuals, most notably work by Denis Villeneuve, who often works with Joe Walker, a British film editor. My goals for this production were to gain a deeper understanding of the workflow of post-production teams, learn how to effectively communicate with the director and other crew as an editor, and to gain a piece of work that I can use as a strong foundational piece for my portfolio. In regards to post-production, my most ambitious dreams see me working on an adaptation of my favourite fantasy novel, Mistborn, written by Brandon Sanderson. Oxygen is a 7-minute fictional film about two people trapped on a damaged submarine. It features a character-focused story and is mostly shot in a single location, which provided an exciting opportunity to try a new editing style. I first joined the project in pre-production, where I provided a pre-production visualization for the film, in particular looking into how to most effectively portray a submarine in a low to no budget film. I was able to provide valuable insight from an editor's point of view and decided to focus on sound design to best immerse the audience. During pre-production, I also made script annotations citing key goals for the film and had input on other elements such as lighting. During post-production, I chose to assemble the footage in Premiere Pro, as it is the software I'll be using for my major project and the one I'm most comfortable with. I began by creating proxies as we are shooting on BRAW, a very large file format. Using proxies of the footage, I was able to edit more efficiently by avoiding slowdown or lag on my computer. Once the proxies had been created, I labeled all the footage and then sorted it into bins by scene. Then I created a new sequence for each scene and assembled the footage with the best takes. I tweaked the placement of the footage in some scenes based on notes taken on set and new ideas from the production team. Finally, I created a new sequence and placed the scenes together, making note of how scene transitions will be integrated later. With the film assembled, I exported the XML, which is a file including the edit data of my actions, basically a list of instructions for another program to use. XML files are of great use due to the bypass of generation loss when exporting, the speed of the process, and the ability of many programs to communicate using XML files. With the XML exported, I opened up DaVinci Resolve, the program I would use to color grade the film. I chose to use DaVinci Resolve because I planned to focus on color grading using the program during my major project and was thus able to use the film to get a grasp of the program. Formative tasks completed earlier in the module were a great help in my color grading experience. I previously worked on a short documentary about space, which involved taking footage of paint and attempting to make it appear as a close-up representation of the sun. I was able to use similar techniques in this film in order to give as much of an impression as possible that the story was taking place in a damaged submarine. Color grading took place over 3 stages. First, I focused on eliminating noise in the picture. I researched different noise reduction techniques used by indie filmmakers and compared results, taking into consideration light level and color. For this project, I used DaVinci Resolve's motion-based noise reduction. I did this by creating a node and adding temporal noise reduction, then creating another node and isolating shades of red, the main color of the film, and providing a slight blur between shades. This process eliminated the noise entirely, but unfortunately, decreased from the overall quality of the footage. I made the decision to stick with these changes as because the footage was shot in RAW, the image quality was not unacceptable. In the future, I believe I could work around noise with less stress. Overall, I believe my experience in this area will benefit my major project. During the second stage of color grading, I went through primary grading. This involved working with the color wheels to expand and divide the gain, gamma, and lift. This step is vital when working with raw footage because it creates depth in the image. I then adjusted the color temperature to make the red lighting throughout the film consistent. In the third and final stage of the grading process, I created another node which would be used to adjust color values. Working with a single color provided an interesting challenge during this stage. An important part of the film is the injury on a character's head. Making the blood discernible through the red provided a challenge, and in the future, I would highlight this in my lighting report during pre-production. I made the blood stand out by making it dark, which provided the most contrast against the lighter reflected red light on the walls and on the clothing. With grading done, I exported the footage and imported the grade back into Premiere Pro. This did cause some generation loss, however, it's an acceptable amount. I then worked on audio. Firstly, I isolated all the dialogue audio, making sure it fell into the ranges of 12 to 6 decibels and didn't peak throughout the film. I then adjusted the room tone to fill gaps of audio. I used the Epidemic Sound Library to find music for the final scene, which is important to the film. Once I found the right track, I created a soundscape for the film using the music along with a number of submarines, water, and metallic sounds, along with some other miscellaneous sounds I knew I would need for the edit. I inserted the sounds into the necessary places, then tweaked them to the specifications needed. Finally, I added a high pass to some of the dialogue in order to create a radio effect.
They will drain the water. Should take about 10-20 minutes max. Vessel 6 Romeo, can you confirm your condition?
Once this was done, the edit was almost complete. I created a title and credit sequence and finalized the scene transitions, then exported the director's cut of the film. Afterwards, I made a small number of changes in the titling and some scene transitions, and then exported my own cut of the film. With the film complete, I started developing ideas for a trailer that would help showcase the film. Early drafts of the trailer highlighted the interpersonal relationship between the two characters of the film. I decided against this, however, as I wanted to include earlier scenes of the film in order to vary the image. I decided against using music in the final edit of the trailer. This was because the film itself only has one musical track, and it comes at a very pivotal moment of a late scene. Instead of using music, I decided to reuse the sonar noise from the first scene of the film, as it does a good job of creating tension.
Hello, this is Vessel 6 Romeo. Can anybody hear me? Over. Hello?
Good morning, folks. Chloe here with you. An earthquake in the North Pacific Ocean.
There's a sealed door behind us that should hold. So what now? How long until we breach? They won't pull us up if we're leaking. Just don't panic.
Overall, while I think I would have been able to produce a better trailer for the film had I given myself more time, I do believe that the trailer is effective in building tension and showcasing the film. In conclusion, having a good workflow was vital in ensuring I completed my areas of the project successfully. Additionally, my experience using DaVinci Resolve to color has equipped me with valuable skills and knowledge that I believe will be beneficial in my major project and throughout my future career. Additionally, working with DaVinci Resolve has given me a deeper understanding of the technical aspects of film production, and now I have a better appreciation for how each step in the production process contributes to the final process, and how to avoid future mistakes in pre-production and production to make the post-production process smoother. Overall, I'm proud of the work I accomplished, and I look forward to applying these lessons and experiences to future projects.